Hello, I'm Dr. Shelley Malka, and I'd like to share my personal story with you because I want you to see how even if you're starting off from humble rags, transformation to parenting riches is indeed possible. From day one, for 25 years, I had nursing problems, colicky babies, learning disabilities, speech problems, OT problems, ADD, ADHD, anxiety problems, phobias, serious illness, emotional struggles, at-risk issues. You name them, I had them. I felt useless and worthless. I felt I had no power to influence my kids for the good. I thought motherhood wasn't for me and that my kids would do better with a different mother, aka Hashem made a mistake. I had taken courses and read books, but I found them at best superficial and technical, and at worst, they made me feel even more inadequate about my parenting. They never spoke at all to my deep insecurity about my worth as a mother. One ordinary day, when my oldest was already about 25, one of my younger kids was having what the school called an anxiety problem, and they strongly recommended therapy and even gave us the name and number of a clinic in Jerusalem. I wanted to stop my child's anxiety, of course, and get the school off my back. I also wanted her to feel that I was taking care of the problem. I wanted her to feel loved and cared about. On a deeper level, I didn't want the school to think that I wasn't a good enough mother. But therapy might prove I wasn't a good enough mother, because why was my child anxious in the first place? So I had a problem. If I didn't take her for therapy, the school would think I wasn't a good mom. But if I did take her for therapy, the therapist could think I wasn't a good mom. My child's anxiety had to be about me, surely. Can you see how preoccupied I was trying to prove I was a good mom? Well, I had little choice but to go for it. Little did I know that the Israeli therapist, who didn't speak a word of English, would change forever the way I thought of myself as a child of my parents and a mother of my children. While she was asking about the family, my most challenging child arrived in the conversation. And Sarah asked how I handled this kid, and I began to stutter and stammer because we'd previously been to an American therapist for this very child. And when I had told her I simply let my husband deal with this child, she had raised an eyebrow and she asked me if I didn't believe that a kid needs both his parents. So here it was again, the terrifying proof that I was neglecting my motherly duties and exposing myself as a lousy mother. So when Sarah asked, Lama, why do I defer to my husband with this child? I mumbled and stumbled about getting overwhelmed and not knowing what to do with myself. It sounded pretty pathetic. And Sarah looked at me and she just said, okay. And she started asking my husband about how he handles this child. Well, I have no recollection of anything that happened after that. I was totally stunned, absolutely in shock. Why wasn't she telling me a kid needs two parents? Why wasn't she telling me that wasn't what good mothers do? Well, what became more and more clear in the countless meetings I was then to have with Sarah, gulping down her approach to parenting like a starving person, was that nobody has the right to tell any mother how to raise her kids. She simply accepted my God-given reality to raise my children as I saw fit, even when I was so obviously insecure and self-doubting. Well, that opened a gateway to a whole new life. I had to learn everything Sarah had to teach me, and I was going to experiment in the laboratory of my home. I started changing my whole parenting approach, putting my foot down, whereas before I didn't even have a foot, standing my ground and trying to copy-paste this radically different conceptualization of what a Jewish home is all about. Well, in the beginning, There was an outcry. I don't remember details about what or why, but I remember the rest of the kids. I remember them screaming. I remember threats about leaving home, about how not okay I was, tears and sobbing, and oh my gosh, I called my teacher in a panic. And she told me what I'm going to teach you on this webinar. It's okay. You're doing the right thing, she said to me. Hold on to yourself. God willing, things will calm down. You'll see. Well, I held on to those words and I prayed, and the chaos subsided. Fast forward just a handful of weeks, my home transformed from fear and insolence to trust and respect. And I was just as imperfect as before, I assure you. But on the inside, I was a totally different person. On this webinar, I'm going to teach you the transformational building blocks that will empower you. AIM is mother in Hebrew. And God willing, you're about to become AIM-powered. Please simply click the link below to register for my free webinar, and I look forward to seeing you over there.